Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is actually part two because I've tried to record this video the first time around, but unfortunately, this free software I like to use, besides showing me a 30-minute time limit, now it said my file was too big. So I had to get rid of a 30-minute video that I literally just got done recording because of the fact that the free software I used didn't like it because it was too big. So now I got to start all over again. Before we continue on, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment on my videos, as well as share them with your friends, all that other good happy horse stuff. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is a two-part conversation today. Hopefully I can try and go ahead and get this done under the limit that's what they're talking about. Now, I have to do it kind of like this because of the fact that this stupid free software won't allow me to do picture-in-picture while I'm doing my recording. So, we're going to go ahead and move on. All right, now I'm going to move the video. I'm going to move this slightly over here so I can go ahead and show you this. What we're talking about today, like I said, is twofold. What we're talking about today is a couple of things. First, what is a native speaker? Now, I know I covered this under LC002, Article 152, Clause 1. I know I covered this, but apparently some people think I need to go ahead and speak about it again because they don't understand what a native speaker is. All right, so according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, this is what a native speaker means. And probably go ahead and move this in just a little bit more so you can see my face a little bit nice. There we go. So here's what a native speaker means. From the Cambridge English Dictionary, it states, a native speaker is someone who has spoken a particular language since they were a baby, rather than having learned it as a child or an adult. For example, all our teachers are native speakers of English. A native speaker dictionary. More examples. He is a native speaker of Russian. Native speakers just learn these idioms naturally. I know I'll never speak French like a native speaker. See, this is what it means. All right, it does not mention anything about race, nationality, country, anything like that. It doesn't mention any of that. All it mentions is that you must have spoken a particular language. Now, here's the thing. With English, okay, so we use the word English here. You must have spoken English since you were a baby, rather than having learned English as a child or an adult. If you don't fit that definition, you're not a native speaker. Now, why do I bring this up? The reason why I bring this up is because of the fact that I've seen a lot of people online saying, I'm a native speaker, when either their profile isn't right, their posting isn't right, or the fact that they come from a country that does not speak English naturally. Now, here's the thing. I did go ahead and say in 011 under general topics, and I said, and I quote, that I'm not from Russia, I'm not from South Africa, I'm an actual native English speaker. I will issue a retraction to everyone who is watching this and those who hear about it, that after careful consideration, I will go ahead and say that not all South Africans can speak English, but a good majority can. Now, see, the thing is, though, is the fact that South Africa, according to what I was told, used to be considered a native English-speaking country, right up until the point when young people from South Africa who spoke Afrikaans came here to Vietnam and drove the quality of education down. Now, see, I don't have a problem where you're from. I don't care what you believe in. Okay, I don't care what language you speak. The only thing I care about is who you are as a person. Do you love your family? Do you support and protect your communities? Do you buy local? Are you a good person? That's all I care about. If you answer yes to all those questions, congratulations, you're a good person. However, if you're one of those people that likes to claim to be something that you're not just so you can claim more dong on your salary and you happen to carry white skin, that's not acceptable. Because white skin no longer equals native English speaker, not anymore. And I'm telling people that every day. White skin no longer equals native English speaker. Because I've met people that are quote-unquote native English speakers even though they come from Russia. How can you be a native English speaker if you come from Russia? How can you be a native English speaker if you come from Eastern Europe? Now, here's the thing. There are people that do come from Eastern Europe and Europe in general that I have spoken with that speak English flawlessly. Case in point, one of my friends is German. And he was he has a German passport, but he was basically raised in the United States because he's got English education, he's got, American education, he's got all that. So he actually speaks English flawlessly, and he was originally born in Germany. So yeah, flawless. Now, here's the thing. The other reason why I'm talking about this is because of the fact that apparently there's a lot of people that are confused. They're like, why can't I get a job? Why can't I get a job? Well, that's pretty simple. If you're not considered a native speaker, you don't have a passport from one of the popular native English-speaking countries like United States, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. If you don't have one of those passports, you're considered a non-native speaker. Now, the thing is, though, is the fact even if you do have a passport from one of those 5 countries, you can still be considered a non-native speaker and or denied employment because you're not white. Now, yes, I do think racism is extremely wrong, and I do think it needs to be gotten rid of here in Vietnam. Case in point, a friend of mine who's African American, 19 years of experience in teaching. He's taught in China, Mongolia, Singapore. He's taught a lot of places. 19 years. Perfect with kids. If I was a manager, I'd hire him in a second. That's how good he is. But he actually got rejected for employment here in Ho Chi Minh City because he is black. And for no other reason. And yes, I'm not allowed to name the English center in question because of the privacy laws here on YouTube. But I will go and say that this center is not a center you should work for because of the fact that they kept me, the very same English center, they kept me on their payroll for 7 months during the pandemic and didn't give me any online work. Didn't give me any work whatsoever. The only thing they gave me was a food basket, which when I specifically told them not to take my picture, they took my picture anyways. So now my picture is floating around their company website somewhere, talking about how grateful I am for receiving food. Now, yeah, I'm grateful for receiving that food, but I specifically mentioned I didn't want my picture taken. Nobody cares. So, here's the thing. I'm not against people coming here to Vietnam to work. I'm only against people that are trying to work illegally. People that are not qualified to work. That's what I'm against. Now, the other thing that I'm going to talk about is here. This is different definition here. Same thing. All right. This is what happened. This is from the Google Translator. A native speaker is a noun and a person who has spoken the language in question from earliest childhood. Native speakers of English. Now, why I say this is simple. Some people from the Philippines, why aren't we considered native speakers? That's simple. You speak Tagalog, you speak Filipino, you may speak Arabic in the southern regions, you may speak Spanish or Latin if you're Catholic, so you can go to Roman Catholic Mass, or you may speak one of the other 13 regional dialects that's present throughout the Philippines. So, no, you may have been taught English at an early childhood, and you may have had primary, secondary, and tertiary education in English. That does not make you a native speaker. If you want to come here to Vietnam and you want to come here legally to work, you must have IELTS, TOEIC, or TOEFL at C1 Advanced or above according to the CEFR scale. Now, yes, the Easy Forge, the EF set, yes, that's still accepted, but you shouldn't use it. Why? Because I see advertisements online all the time advertising a fully authentic, quote unquote, fully authentic C2 certificate plus a 120-hour TESOL certificate for $100. No studying required. You give them the money, they give you the certificates, and off you go. That's it. That's why they're worthless. Now, why I say IELTS, TOEIC, and TOEFL is because that's what the law says. Again, if you see LC 002, Article 152, Clause 1, it tells you everything in there. But I'm talking about it again because some people like to call themselves native speakers even though they're not. So, moving on. So, what constitutes a native speaker here in Vietnam according to the local populace? Well, that's simple. This is a meme that I stole from someone else, but it makes a good point. That's why I stole it. This is a character named Peter Griffin from the show Family Guy, for everybody that doesn't know who he is. Now, in this particular instance, very slight cough, no need for the cough warning. This means that essentially, if you have these skin tones, you're a native English speaker. If you have these skin tones, you're considered a non-native speaker. Now, even if you have a passport from one of the 5 popular countries and you have this skin tone, you're still classified as a non-native speaker. Native speakers, they're the ones that get the high salary. The non-native speakers are the ones that get worked to the bone for the bare minimum. Case in point, $1,100, 120 hours a month, and you have to work 6 days a week with absolutely no benefits. Yeah, that's what they're offering, and I think it was Tai Province. Yeah, That's terrible. Terrible. Nobody should work for that low of cash at all. Nobody should work that low. And they're only offering these low-paid positions to people who have these skin tones. People who have these skin tones, go ahead and get higher-paying jobs, normally about $2,000 to $2,200 a month. And anywhere, and the average is about 100 hours. And that's net, not gross. Now, like I said, the reason why I keep bringing this stuff up is that, yes, there is very rampant racism going on here in Vietnam. And yes, it should be stopped. How do you stop it? It's simple. Just say no. How do you say no? There's many ways to do it. First thing you do, you go ahead and see an advertisement online that doesn't look right. Say, again, what I mentioned earlier, if they're advertising for teachers from the Philippines, Africa, and stuff like that, and they're only offering $1,100 a month, 100 to 120 hours a month, and they make you work 6 days a week, call them out on it. Tell them that their advertisement's terrible. They need to raise their wages. Because all these English centers care about is making money. They don't care about kids' education. They don't care about you. They only care about making money. That's the reason why you shouldn't work for places like that. That's the first way you say no. Second way you say no is simple. Get a better job. You can go to top-tier international schools. You can go to universities. You can go to colleges. Apply directly. That's what Google's for. You don't need to go through any recruiter or anything like that. Just apply directly. And if the school turns you down, even though you have a master's degree in the English language, English literature, and you have CELTA, Delta, and you got all these certificates, and they still turn you down, then you can sue them. Because that means that they are specifically rejecting you because you are not this skin tone. You are one of these. Now, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to reject you because they actually look for highly qualified teachers. It doesn't matter where they're from as long as they can teach English well. Now, the other thing you can look for when you want to choose a good employer is you want to choose someone who actually respects you, who obeys the labor code, who will give you your benefits as prescribed by law. They won't complain when you make a complaint. They jump on it and it gets resolved just like that. Those are the kind of people you should work for. So in the end, what's going to happen? Well, the illegal English centers are going to be full of students and nobody to teach their classes because the teachers, the legitimate English teachers, decided they had enough and they decided to move on to bigger and better things, leaving those illegal English centers with classes and no teachers to teach them. What about the illegal English teachers? I'll tell you that here in a minute. I got to go ahead and grab my water again. Again, this is a remake of the previous video because of my cheap software. All right, hopefully I can go ahead and still talk at least a little bit longer until this video is cut. Now, I'm going to go ahead and see. I can see how much time I got real quick. Let's see. Looks to be here. I got about 15 minutes. All right, so if I can finish this in about the next 5 minutes or so, I think that'll be acceptable, hopefully. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on. So we're going to move back to this and this so you guys can go ahead and see my lovely mug. Let's try that again. All right, there we go. So here's the thing. The problem with all of this is simple. Racism is deeply ingrained here in Vietnam. Why? I don't know, but it is. The only way to change that is with you. You must choose the best employer. You must choose to not work for illegal centers. Now, yes, I understand that people are fleeing South Africa because of all the violence that's going on there. And I know people are fleeing certain parts of the world because of violence. That's also true. But I want you to pay attention to this one thing. Me personally, I come from a military family. Both my mom and my dad both served honorably in the United States Army during the period of the Liberation War here in Vietnam. My father never stepped foot on Vietnamese soil. The closest he got was Busan in South Korea as a surgeon's technician. And excuse me again. Now, being that my mother is a woman and all, she couldn't go to Vietnam, so she went straight to Germany as a cook and an MP. So the thing is my parents didn't participate in the Liberation War, neither did I. So to call me an American occupier is literally one of the deepest insults you can possibly give me. Now, the thing is, though, the law says I have legal recourse and I can sue you for slander. Now, yes, my country participated in the Liberation War on the side of the South, but my family and I did not. There's a very big distinction. And if I had been there during the Liberation War, I would have fought for Uncle Ho and the NVA. Plain and simple. I would fight for Uncle Ho in the NVA. Because of the fact I believe in unity and order over chaos and destruction. That's what I believe in. That's the reason why I believe in only having legitimate English teachers here in Vietnam, legitimate English centers here in Vietnam. That's what I believe in. I want to make Vietnam strong from the inside out. And to do that, we must have the best quality teachers, the best quality English centers, the best quality top tier international schools, universities, and stuff like that. We must raise the standards of education here in Vietnam. And the only way to do that is to shut down the illegal centers and deport the illegal English teachers. That's the only way to do it. Once you do that, and you leave only the legitimately qualified English teachers and the legitimate English centers behind, then you're going to see the English go up. That's what you'll see. And I guarantee it. Now, we have about maybe 5 minutes or so left until I have to shut this video down, because I recorded a full 30-minute video last time, and unfortunately, for some reason, the recorder didn't like it and said it was too large. So I'm going to go ahead and try and cut this short here in a little bit. Where's the little thing? All right, here we go. So here we go. I got about 4.5 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and say my piece here before I get off of here. To reiterate what I said earlier, with the definition of native English speaker, if you don't fit that description, you're not a native speaker. I can listen and identify over 18 different languages. I can tell if someone's a native speaker or not, because how language works is simple. Whatever language you speak, the next language you speak after that will carry the accent of your first language. Because see, me, I speak Northern Vietnamese. Not that much. I speak just a little bit. But my Northern Vietnamese carries an American English accent. Much like when people come here from other countries speaking their home language, the English they speak will carry the accent of their home language. And if I hear that accent, and it's not an English accent like from the UK or Canada or Australia, New Zealand, something like that, if it's not an accent like that, that means you're not a native speaker. Now, there are people, like I said, in Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, they speak English their whole lives. And they also go ahead and speak regional dialects after that. They are native speakers because they speak English from birth. They also know the regional language as well. So they speak 2 or more languages, but they speak English first. That's what makes them native speakers. They speak to their parents, they speak to their grandparents, they speak to their ancestors in English, their Facebook profiles in English, everything is in English. They're a native speaker because of the fact they speak English their whole lives. So we got about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you like my videos, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, talk to your friends about it. If you want to donate, please go ahead and donate to tuxedoshadow@gmail.com. Send me an email that says you want to donate, and I will give you instructions on how you can. My bank account is still bone dry. My wallet's completely empty, and I got a family of 5 to support. My elderly, like 70 plus years old, father-in-law, elderly mother-in-law, my wife, my daughter, and myself. If you don't want to donate for me, at least think about my family. Now, the only people who hate me are the people that shouldn't be in Vietnam in the first place. I said it right. The only people that hate me are the people that shouldn't be here in the first place. Now, I want you to think about that. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can try and finally cut this video and release it online. Now, I don't know why there's such a space restriction on this. I don't get it. But I'm going to try and go ahead and release this and see what happens. So we got 1 minute left until I hit the 20-minute mark. So again, if you don't fit the definition of a native English speaker, you're not a native English speaker. Stop lying to people. Get your IELTS, TOEIC, or TOEFL and become a legal English teacher that is actually allowed to work here in Vietnam. No paperwork, you get deported, end of story. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say have a good night, be safe, and I will go ahead and see you all again soon.